Hello, and welcome to Brand Clarity by Visions2images, where we focus on strategy and business development for entrepreneurs at all different levels through branding and digital marketing techniques. Susie Liberatore is the founder and art director of Visions2images Creative Services, LLC. For the last decade, she has personally been instrumental in bridging gaps between the global digital market and neighborhood locations for some of the biggest brands around. Growth is possible for even a single location with the right professional branding techniques and Susie's signature strategies of Visions2images. Stand out from your competitors and bring your visions to life while watching your sales skyrocket. Your host for this is Susie Liberatore, owner of Visions2images. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brand Clarity podcast, which soon might be rebranding. Hint, hint, I'm not sure, but it might be rebranding sometime in the near future. And I'll kind of give you some information on that in a little while. What I wanted to talk to you guys today about is all this talk about franchise marketing. If you've been following us on social media or heard anything about us, we have specialized in franchise marketing and really have niched down over the past month or so. We really dove in 2022 to really specialize in franchise marketing, but we're hitting it hard in these past few months to really help franchises, right? And so let me give you a little bit of a background about what this even means, how it benefits you, who is considered a franchise, right? Because not everybody even understands what a franchise is. So I'm here to help you guys understand what a franchise is and where our vision and mission is going as a company and as a whole. So I've worked in an agency life for 10 years plus, and I've worked in corporate for a few years, less than 2 years probably. And what I saw was a lot of opportunities being missed, right? So when you're in corporate, you have to be compliant, you have to follow corporate guidelines, you have to follow all of the little details in order for your marketing to work. And what I have learned over the years is there's ways to really use those corporate guidelines, use that branding, and utilize the best way to personalize your own story. But before I even get into that end of the marketing end of things, I want to talk about why we really switched. And maybe you've heard the whole story before, maybe you haven't, but I really want you to understand why we've switched into this niche specifically, because people are always asking me, hey, why'd you switch? What got you into this? We've worked with franchises for quite some time, so it's not anything super new to us. But what we realized is that there was just so much missing. During the pandemic, so many businesses were being affected by the pandemic. Let's just put that out there. Small businesses, large businesses, corporations, everybody was being affected one way or another. And what I saw was people were saying in Facebook groups and communities on posts, even in text, hey, I want to support local. How do I support local? I don't want to support the big names. And it got me to think, because I was in a chamber meeting one time and they said, all these small businesses are struggling, but even the franchise and corporations are struggling because they're locally owned and operated, and people push that aside and forget about that piece. And so it really got me thinking, all of these businesses, you could think of Burger King, for example, McDonald's, Starbucks, Coach, New York and Company, whatever it might be, like all of these brands that we see and deal with on a daily basis, ServPro, Paul Davis, there's tons and tons of different franchises that people forget about and don't think about all the time. And they think, oh, they're big names and I don't want to support them. Okay. I'm not here to sell you on why you should or shouldn't support them. But what I've noticed is that these people struggle just as much as small business owners, especially during the pandemic, right? I started to see things differently in a way of they're locally owned and operated. They're the same people that go to my church. They're the same people that are in my neighborhood. They're the same people that are cheering these people on. And a lot of times these franchisees have multiple businesses and are very well-known and wealthy in the community, but it's not being shown and addressed in a way that's positive. And we get all this negative backlash on all platforms everywhere. So our vision and mission is to really change how people take in franchises and how they really understand it can see there's so much more to it than just a name brand, right? Like the name brand comes with it and it carries high integrity, it carries brand values, it carries all of that. But the person who operates and owns it is 100% different than the person who owns another franchise 5 miles down the block, right? Maybe they're not involved in the community. Maybe they're struggling because they can't keep staff, right? So there's all these different pieces. At the end of the day, it comes down to the owner and their team and how they're leading it in that specific franchise. Of course, all of their marketing, all of their branding, all of that fun stuff comes with it. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's about that person. It's about them creating that brand. It's about them creating that legacy into that community. So that's why we've really niched down into franchises. If you know me, I'm very well diverse in a lot of community events, a lot of community nonprofits. I'm actually going to be announcing something hopefully soon about a nonprofit that I'm a part of. And so hopefully that'll come to fruition by the end of summer. So that's exciting. So like I'm a big component of giving back, of being in the community, all that. So it only made sense to me to do the same for these businesses. And with that, it doesn't matter where you're locally owned and operated, right? Like we work with people all over the United States, and there's so many tons of fun and different ways to really do marketing for different industries in different areas, right? Period. Like I love to travel lately. Love it. I'm getting ready to go to Vegas for another business retreat. I love it. I will travel. I will work with people remotely. I will do all these things. Okay. But the big thing that comes up from franchisee owners is, well, I have to be compliant with corporate, right? That's the biggest hurdle a lot of people can't seem to understand. And with that, it's not hard to be compliant. And it's not hard to create your own story and your own vision for that locally owned business. It's not hard. It's not hard. It takes time. It takes strategy. But once you get to it, it turns into something so amazing and so different, and you're going to stand out over the competitors. And what I've really noticed, we don't like canned emails, right? So we don't like canned stuff. If everything is canned and we keep seeing the same stuff over and over again, it's not going to convert in marketing. And that's why having corporation marketing only goes so far. And I'm not niching that, right? Like I'm not saying it's bad, all that. We need it to some extent, but you should be having your own local personal marketing as well. So let me talk a little bit more in depth of what I mean. So there was a local franchise owner who came to me during the pandemic and was like, hey, like we use our corporate people for some social media posts, but we're missing out on so much. We're very involved in the community. We give back. We offer so many programs. We have unique selling points at all different levels. And we're just not getting the traffic and the visibility that we need, especially since we have so much unique things to offer and to put forth. And so we started chatting, and what we did was we took over their social media completely. We took over all of their social media, really started to create strategy and campaigns geared towards them. And each month it's different, but at the same time, we do have some similarities, right? So we really went in and, did paid advertising. We also really went in and talked about the local community and how involved they are. And now they're getting ready to launch another location. But what ended up happening is people see that consistency. They can see this consistent post. They can see the consistent graphics, the same copy. It was consistent, right? So people like that. And what started to happen was they started to expedite, like go beyond their sales goals, beyond belief. It was amazing to see them grow and blossom. They had other things going on as well. They do some local advertising and they do some TV commercials and TV ads. There was tons of other filters that they do, of course. But at the same time, every little piece helps, right? Because it takes an average person 7 times before they will convert. So, if they see it on the TV, then they see it on social media, they're going to be like, I just saw that ad. And it happens to us all the time. We keep seeing, I'm sure you've been talking about something one time or another with a friend, and then all of a sudden you see an ad on Facebook or Google or something to that extent. And I mean, my Facebook to this day is very catered to what my interests are. And they can always tell me what I like. It's kind of crazy. And it's kind of funny. That's a whole nother marketing topic. But what I'm getting at is it's targeted, right? So they know what I like. Facebook knows what I like, and they're going to target me and they're going to get me. And the same is true for any business. Once you really can identify your audience and be able to share that, you're going to be able to get much more of a bang for your buck for your marketing. Hey there, I want to interrupt this episode with a quick message. If you're listening to this podcast episode and want to learn about branding your franchise or small business, then go to brandingbridge.com. That's branding-bridge.com. So what is local marketing? This is a common question I get asked often as well. Like, what is local marketing? And there's not really one answer that doesn't fit all. So there's a lot of different ways, and I'm not going to go through each and every single one, but I wanted to give you a quick overview. There's paid advertising, there's Google My Business, social media, SEO, chamber involvement, media outlets, volunteers, charity. So with all of that, there's probably way more, right? Like there's website, there's branding, there's graphic design, there's brochures, all of that. But what I really like to talk about when I talk about that local presence is, again, going back to the chamber, going back to your involvement in the local community, going back to, are you giving back to charity? Are you speaking at engagements? What are you doing for your community that can help you stand out? And the other amazing part about being local is you really have to have a story. Stories sell over and over and over and over again. I can't tell you how many times my story has sold for me over and over and over again, right? My story of being a single mom, being an entrepreneur, having an autistic son. People love to hear my story. And it's not necessarily they feel bad for you or they want to buy from you, but they can relate to you, right? So they understand and they can relate and they know that you're human and that there's that persona there for them. And the same is true for this local stuff, right? So when you have your own personality and you have your own story and you're sharing that over and over and over again, as well as, the unique selling points, you offer free consultations, you offer free warranties, I'm involved in the chamber, then people really understand, wow, I want to invest with this company and I want to do business with them just because they are so involved and so amazing at what they do. And it goes such a long way. And I don't think people understand and realize that as much as they should. And this goes back to the pandemic, right? Like when we see a business giving back to another business, it's like, holy cow, they are amazing for doing that. Or this person left a gracious tip and we hear about it in the news, right? So all of those stories matter. And again, we can't think of it as, oh, we want attention and we want business. We do it for the goodness of our hearts and we do it because that's who we are and that's what our mission and our values are. So it always goes back to those things as well, understanding your mission, your values, your plans, your goals. And if it doesn't relate to that, then you don't have to do it. All of those things are amazing for local presence, right? So many ways to do it. And you might be doing all of them. You might be doing some, or you might be questioning, is it working for me? Why isn't it converting? All of these things are great questions. And my biggest thing that I always tell clients all the time is it doesn't happen overnight. Slowly but surely, things convert. If you have paid ads, and they might convert quicker. However, it's about the awareness, right? We always want to create the awareness. And as my sales coach tells me all the time, we don't want to be salesy. We want to have a conversation with real people. We want people to know we're real. We want to be able to connect all the time, right? So when we tell stories or when we're doing paid ads, it doesn't have to be about sales. It can just be about giving back in the community and how amazing it feels. It could be about a local event that you just sponsored, right? There's all of these little pieces that so many people miss out on or overlook. And you might think, well, they're not going to care about this. It's creating that awareness over and over and over again. And so today on this podcast, I'm also going to tell you a little bit more about how we are working with franchises. We are actually rolling out a few different things by the end of 2022, but the two main ways you can work with us by doing the implementation for you. So going in and doing all of the SEO, all of the Google My Business, social media, website, whatever it might entail, right? So that's us doing it for you. There's also another way that you can do it, which is fairly new that we have been working and it has proven results, is consulting/strategy. And what we do is we come in and we solve your problems basically, and then your team implements them for you. So it's really good if you have a large corporation and you have a team that's available for you to do all of the things that I recommend for you. And then we go back and reevaluate data. And it's amazing to have an outside perspective just because of the fact that when you're inside a business, sometimes you get so hung up, so aggravated, and not creative. And so when we come in, we're energized, we can see things differently. And we have a team that's so accessible to you as well that I work with my team and we come up with different ideas, different campaigns, all these different things. And then you can literally implement them for yourselves in your company. So that's where it comes from. And I want to highlight one more thing before I kind of give my little speech is a franchise is a company that basically has a brand name that comes with it, right? So this is kind of going back to the beginning where I said, what is a franchise? And a franchise can basically be anybody who has multiple locations and or is locally owned and independent. And people say, well, I don't know if this is a franchise. And it's interesting to hear those words because, we don't always think of things as being a franchise. For example, I work with several nonprofits and I consider them franchise model based because they have several different chapters, right? They have some in Cleveland, they have some in Cincinnati, they have some in Vegas, they have all over the world, right? They have them all over the world. And there's still that brand that they have. They still are maintaining that brand. They still bought into the name, all of those pieces, right? It's just a little bit different because it's a nonprofit, but they're still franchise based in my mind. So we do work with a lot of nonprofits currently that are franchise based. We work with a lot of, for profits. We work with Serve Pros. We work with Flooring America. We work with tons and tons of different name brands. And we also work with emerging franchises. And so what is an emerging franchise? It's a business who is like, yes, I want to have multiple locations and I want to be able to sell this nationwide, even international wide, right? So there's that piece of it where they're very new into the pipeline. And we have about 4 of those that are very new and on the edge of emerging that we're working with. And we're working with them to really develop a lot of different plans for their marketing and for their campaigns, not only for B2C, but B2B, right? Because they want to sell to all of these different franchise models. They want to sell a franchise. How do they do that? Right. So that's where we come in and we also create the marketing end of things. When a person comes to a franchise and they say, I'm ready to purchase a franchise, you want to be able to give them all of the right tools that they need necessary. And one of those pieces is marketing. And so that's a huge component of what we're actually working on and in the pipeline to create is an amazing tool for all of these franchises to have something for their marketing. And what happens with this marketing is we want to make sure that it's consistent and it's corporate, but we don't want it to be so boxed that they can't have fun and they can't have that personality and that local visibility, right? Our biggest thing is we want businesses like franchises to be able to have that corporate guideline, but also to be able to show up locally. So we're rolling out a bunch of these new ideas and a bunch of these things that are going to help solve all of these problems all into one. And we're super excited about all of it. You're going to start to see a lot more information coming out about it as I'm super pumped and excited. But going back to how you can work with us, there's those 2 pieces, right? So you can hire us for consulting and strategy, or you can have us do all the work for you. I want to say that we have about 3 spots open for new one-to-one clients, so implementation clients. So we have 3 spots open currently that we're trying to fill, and we know we'll fill fast. But what we're trying to do is really help franchises get that local visibility so that they can feel confident and bring in that revenue and generate sales. So if you are a franchisee and you're saying, I need the local presence, I'm not showing up, my social media presence is lacking, I'm not creating blog posts, my SEO isn't working, I'm not involved in the community, I don't even know where to start to be involved in the community. All of these pieces, if you're saying any of those, let's have a free consultation. I'm going to put the link below for you to sign up to get a quote. And a quote doesn't necessarily mean it's going to convert to a sale, but what it does is it gives me information and you can fill out this form and then we're going to have a free consultation. And from there, you can decide whatever you want to do, but at least you can have a consultation and understand that there are options for you. I know this podcast is a little bit different than what I've done in the past, but I'm super pumped to help all these franchisees to be able to really grow and evolve and understand that there's so much more out there. And so if you are listening and you are struggling with any of those things as a franchisee, please fill out the form below. Let's just chat, free consultation. If you know me and you can hear my testimonials, I like to help people. I'm not going to push you. I just want to be able to help you and understand. Plus, you can give me some market research, right? Our conversations always give me insights. And I'm always like, hey, that should be a podcast topic. Hey, I should write about that. So it's always good for both of us at the same time, even if nothing comes out of it. So I hope you were able to benefit from this. And if you know somebody in the franchise industry that might be able to benefit from this, feel free to totally send this to them and connect us. You can always connect with me on LinkedIn, Susie Liberatore. Susieliberatore. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I connect all the time with people on LinkedIn. It's probably my number one tool, my number one resource. So definitely feel free to connect with me. And I'll post the link there as well. So I hope that you guys can understand our new direction. And I hope you guys are excited as we are as a team and as an agency at Visions to Images about this growth. Thank you, everybody, for listening in on today's Brand Clarity episode with Susie Liberatore. 2 things. First and foremost, please, if you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave some positive reviews. Also, don't forget to sign up for Stop Sending Your Customers to the Competition and get my insider secrets to compelling branding that converts. You can find that at branding-bridge.com. It's a free workbook for you to check out right now, all of the branding techniques and strategies that I use for my paying clients.